Good evening and welcome to our regular board meeting, Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, for the school district of Springfield Township. Always been concerned why these meetings are called the regular board meeting. When we're hearing from students, we're getting updates from the community. I would call these the exceptional board meetings. Like interim makes sense, regular, it falls short. We'll treat that as my opening comments and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For a reading of the mission statement, we'll turn to Dr. Taratuski.
The mission of the School District of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community.
Okay, if we could have roll call.
Mr. Needleman.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Dr. Etlin. Mrs. Green. Mrs. Hubley.
Here.
Mrs. Hughes. Mrs. Slapinski.
Here.
Dr. Taratuski.
Here.
Mr. Bedard.
Here. Just one announcement. The board, at its discretion, may videotape all or any portion of public board meetings subject to the limitations set forth in Policy 006 meetings. Board meetings will be broadcast on Friday afternoon following each board meeting. And now we will turn to reports and information with an update from our homeschool partnership. I believe we have either Ms. Oxford or Ms. Bronson in online, potentially? No. Ms. Bronson, are you available to give an update? Yeah, here you come.
I am. Good afternoon. Good evening. Are you ready for me to give the update?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everybody. Sorry that I am virtual, trying to navigate multiple things. Thank you for the time. On behalf of the secondary HSP, I just have two quick updates. First, I'd like to invite everyone to join us this Thursday, April 20th at 7 p.m. We are looking forward to receiving a special presentation from Dr. Michelle Lutz, the Director of Support Services at the high school counseling team, on From Admissions to Zen. This program will review the variety of resources available to our high school students, including mental health resources, vocational program planning, college admissions support, and the course scheduling assistance that will be among the topics to be discussed. To attend the meeting, we ask that everyone please register at the link available in the principal's weekly news blast. And again, the meeting is this Thursday at 7 p.m. Also, in late May, actually May 22nd, we're happy to announce on May 22nd, we'll be celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week at both the middle and high schools, as well as inviting our district administration, staff, maintenance, landscaping team, and bus driver transportation to participate in a lunch sponsored by the secondary HSP, as well as supported by the elementary HSP. This will be our opportunity to let the teachers and district staff know how grateful we are for all that they do throughout the year for our children. This year, we're once again happy to announce that Flourtown's own Carla's Kitchen will cater the event. In the principal news blast, we have provided a link where we're asking for donations to support this opportunity. I know we've had issues in the past with that donation link, so we're asking for everyone to please make sure in order to complete their transaction to click donate, then your contribution amount. And then if you go on the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little shopping cart, and that's what you have to click on to complete and process your payment. We will be sending out a request and a link for volunteers to sign up to support us on May 22nd. And if you have any questions, you can always email us at stshsp@gmail.com. I think that's it, but we'll make sure we get the email out in the principal news blast as well. That completes my announcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bronson. Any comments or questions from the board? All right, appreciate the update. Now we'll turn to our Multicultural Parents Association, and Dr. Beal Tawfiq is here with us.
Oh. Testing, good. COVID-free. I'm all good. No. So good morning. Here is an update for the board meeting today. Join MPA for our final meeting of the year on Thursday, May 4th at 6:30 p.m. at the middle school library. We will be joined by Montgomery County Judge Chris Sersky, who will discuss Montgomery County's reducing racial and ethnic disparity projects. His task force has been the task force he has spearheaded, one of which is a restorative practice program that was implemented at Cedarbrook Middle School in Cheltenham. Now, MPA will also be celebrating International Water Safety Day on May 15th, and so will we be here. But we have a lot to go on, and we want to talk about it today. Children ages 1 to 4 have the highest drowning rates. Most drownings in children 1 to 4 happen in swimming pools. Drowning can happen even when children are not expected to be near water, such as when they gain unsupervised access to pools. Fatal drowning is a leading cause of death for children 1 to 4 and the second leading cause of unintentional injury death for children ages 5 to 14 behind motor vehicle accidents. Males, nearly 80% of people who drown are male. Many factors can contribute to this, such as high rates of drowning among males, including increased exposure to water, risk-taking behaviors, and alcohol use. Some racial and ethnic groups, when we're looking at it, American Indian or Alaskan Native peoples ages 29 years or younger are 2 times higher than the rates of white people, with the highest disparities among those 25 to 29, which is about 3.5 times higher. And drowning death rates of Black people are 1.5 times higher than the rates of white people. Disparities are highest among Black children, ages 5 to 9 and ages 10 to 14. And also, people with seizure disorders, such as epilepsy, are at higher risk of fatal, non-fatal drowning risk, with autism also being a high leading cause of death in terms of drowning. So not being able to swim is something that we know in our district we don't have to face. Many adults and children report that they can't swim or that they are weak swimmers. So participation in formal swimming lessons can reduce the risk of drowning among children and young adults. So with that, MPA definitely is supporting, and we look forward to talking and gaining the opportunities to combat this #1 neglected public health threat. We also invite you to join us to review the exhibit, Pool, A Social History of Segregation, and more information about that event, as well as a free parent online orientation for water safety will also be offered. Finally, our MPA book club is currently reading Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult. I can't read today. And Jennifer Finney Boylan. And we'll be meeting to discuss the book on May 16th at 6:30 p.m. at the Erdenheim School Library. We hope you all will join us for all of these events, and more will be available with each school's weekly e-blast. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tafiq, excuse me. I also wanted to thank you personally for your continued advocacy for education around water safety, such an important issue. And I appreciate you sharing all that detail here. Any other comments from the board? All right, very good, thank you. And finally, for our reports and information, we'll turn to our student report with Ms. Sarah Herzeg.
At Enfield, high school Voices of Excellence students started a group called Enfield Reading Buddies. Each month, VOE students will read to classrooms. The high school students are going to pick a book of their choosing and then read it to the class. Enfield is very excited about this opportunity for the students to learn from our community's high schoolers. At Erdenheim, the Reading Olympics team participated in the Reading Olympics competition at Hatboro Horsham High School for Montgomery County. On March 31st, 5th grade classes and teachers hosted their second annual forkball tournament in an effort to raise money for the Montgomery County Down Syndrome Interest Group. During the weeks of April 10th and 17th, 5th grade classes will be partnering with a 6th grade homeroom at the middle school to have lunch and compete in a middle school scavenger hunt. At the middle school, the Enfield fields were officially opened in a ribbon cutting ceremony on the Girls Lead program took students at Erdenheim Elementary to participate in a read aloud activities as part of a literacy-based service experience. Fifth grade science classes are traveling to our local water treatment plant to learn about the environmental impacts of such a system on our water. This week, April 17th to 21st, the school is hosting a Pennyworth competition during homeroom to raise money for a day of service activities to take place in May. At the high school, 6 students in DECA are traveling to Orlando to participate in the DECA Nationals Business Competition. April 28th marks the junior and senior prom. Relay for Life is hosting the Relay for Life event this year on May 20th. Families from the community are welcome to attend.
Excellent updates. Thank you, Ms. Herzog. Any comments or questions? All right, we will jump right into administrative reports, the moment we've all been waiting for. I'll turn it over to Dr. Yannicone.
Thank you, Mr. Bedard. It's very nice to see you all. It's been a month since we've met last. I'm going to start with some items on the personnel agenda. First of all, our Director of Student Services. We are excited and pleased to recommend the appointment of Mrs. Megan Dennis for the position of Director of Student Services for the School District of Springfield Township, effective June 19th, 2023. Mrs. Dennis will replace Mrs. Robin Benning, who has served in this role since February. Mrs. Dennis was selected after an extensive search process that involved multiple interviews, which included administrators, teachers, and support staff on the interview committees. Prior to joining us in Springfield Township, Mrs. Dennis worked in the Downingtown area school district for 18 years. During her tenure, she worked as a 4th grade classroom teacher, K-5 elementary school counselor, elementary supervisor of special education, and most recently as the Director of Pupil Services for the last 4 years. Meg completed her undergraduate degree at Immaculata University, her master's in elementary school counseling at Westchester University, her certification in educational leadership at Penn State, and she is currently working on finishing up her doctoral program, writing her dissertation, and expected to graduate this June from Drexel University when she'll become Dr. Dennis. Mrs. Dennis's strong background as a classroom teacher, counselor, and administrator served to provide a depth of experience and expertise as she transitions to our district. The interview committee found her to be a thoughtful and collaborative leader who will complement our district team well as we move into the future. Mrs. Dennis describes her strengths as someone who utilizes a strong collaborative framework and works to build meaningful relationships with students, staff, families, and the community to ensure student success. We anticipate Mrs. Dennis will visit with us throughout the spring to become familiar with our students, staff, and community. For the remainder of the school year, the Office of Student Services will continue to be led by Mrs. Robin Benning as the interim director and Mrs. Nicole Schrage, who you'll recall joined us mid-year as the new supervisor of special education. I want to also share with you that Mrs. Dennis is with us tonight in the audience, and we're happy to have her with us so that you can put a name to the face, or face to the name. Second on the personnel agenda, you'll notice we are pleased to recommend the hiring of a new school psychologist at Enfield, Dr. Jen Daly. The addition of a 4th school psychologist was discussed and approved earlier this winter in our finance committee meetings as a result of an increased need for support for our children and families through our MTSS teams and for evaluations to be completed for our early learners in particular as needed. Dr. Daly has worked for nearly 2 decades in the county, first at Hatboro Horsham and more recently for the last 13 years at the MCIU, serving non-public school communities, including those that exist within our boundaries. Dr. Daly is scheduled, if approved, to join us later this summer. And finally, on personnel, I wanted to mention the contract renewal of Ms. Kara Green. Ms. Green is completing her first contract with our district this spring, and we are extremely grateful for her leadership over the past 3 years. She has worked within her department to streamline and modernize systems, has been creative and responsive to the many financial challenges throughout the pandemic, and is a true teammate to our entire administrative team. Her contract renewal reflects not only her excellent work as our business administrator, but also maintains a competitive salary and benefits package to provide our district stability through the next 3 years. Thank you, Ms. Green. She has to take notes while I talk about her on her side. I thought that'd be fun for you to have. In academic affairs and finance, tonight board members will find several agenda items related to annual contract renewals with the MCIU, our auditors, our solicitor, and our student accidents and insurance firm. Ms. Green has worked with these groups to ensure that our district needs continue to be appropriately and fully met through these proposed agreements. In policy, tonight we have the second reading of our policies in the 800 and 900 levels. Following tonight's vote, these policies will be considered adopted, and this will conclude our 18-month review of all policies to ensure compliance and alignment with all applicable laws and school code. We have also entered just this week into a separate agreement with PSBA to receive access to their manual of administrative regulations so that our administrative team can cross-check our current procedures with those recommended by PSBA. Those administrative regulations are the next step following policy, and they're internal documents that our administrative team needs to create in order to put policy into action. So we'll be revising all of our ARs to accommodate those policies that have been revised since September. Last summer, we revised all of the ARs from last year's policy review. And then in property, we have two agenda items for tonight. We have a partial roof replacement at the high school and the installation of cameras and lighting in the middle school lot, which will deter, we hope, any potential crime or vandalism, as well as catalytic converter thefts during nights and weekends. Following the installation, we plan to return our school buses to their usual parking location and get them off the lawn adjacent to the administrative building. And then finally, and before our spotlight, earlier today, I shared a message with our staff and families regarding today's recognition of Holocaust Remembrance Day in Israel, Yom HaShoah. I believe the message speaks for itself, but I wanted to publicly thank the members of the board for your leadership and support of our goals and focus on educational equity for every student. Our administration, staff, and families really appreciate your commitment to this important work. So thank you again for your service and for your support. And finally, in my report, tonight's Spartan Spotlight is on Enfield Elementary School. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Megan Markle and Mr. Curtis Fleming, who are going to do tonight's presentation. I'll share my screen for you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here. I'm Dr. Markle. I'm the proud principal of Enfield, and I'm joined with Mr. Fleming, our assistant principal. And we are excited to talk about some of the wonderful work we've been doing this year at Enfield Elementary, but more specifically, talking about authentic learning. So as you're well aware, one of our district goals is authentic learning. And so each building and our entire district was tasked with how can we support this? And so we had lots of wonderful conversations at Enfield. And there was 2 action items connected to this plan. And the first action item was to have conversations with our building staff, provide some professional development, and then have some continued conversations about what this means to support our work with Profile of a Graduate and also authentic learning. So we started with some faculty meetings and professional development sessions where we brought our teachers together because they're the experts, really. They're in the classrooms. They're the ones figuring out what works. And so we wanted to hear from them. What do they think authentic learning means? And so we had wonderful conversations. And what we were able to come up with was a couple different takeaways where we were talking about fostering creativity and authentic learning. And we developed look for. So when Mr. Fleming and I or anybody's walking in the classrooms, we have some key points to look for that we know, like, this is what we're talking about with authentic learning. And so we're excited to highlight a couple of those. We took it a step further as well, though. We first worked with our professional staff, which included classroom teachers and special education teachers, but then we did the same thing with our support staff. So we wanted to hear from our support staff. When you think of authentic learning, when you're, in the trenches in the classroom, working with students, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to our students? So we added their input as well, and we came up with a couple different takeaways. So we're not going to go over everyone, but a couple highlights. So one of the first ones, which was a very common theme among the conversations that we've had, is allowing opportunities for students to facilitate, teach, and be the expert. And so we have a couple pictures that capture these moments. We know it's so important for students to have the opportunity that one of the highest levels of understanding is when they can teach it to someone else. And so our teachers really talk about, when can we provide opportunities for this to happen? When is it already happening? And how can we continue to build on that? And so it's really been great to see some of these things that are happening. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Fleming.
Thank you. So the next thing we looked at is how important it is to have a safe environment for the students, mentally and physically safe. So of course, we want to thank our facilities for making sure our rooms and our building is always clean, but also we want to make sure we thank our teachers for not only using our responsive classroom curriculum and our second step curriculum to be able to develop these safe environments for students to be able to think and be creative within those classes, not have to worry about anything else, and have interactive ideas to work with each other. We also like to pose a lot of challenging activities. One of them that we highlighted in the center of this, the pictures here in the middle center there, is we had a activity where students were provided some sticks and leaves and actually had to come together as a group and make a small shelter without any other direction. So they had to work collaborative with each other to get to a product. So there's just some other pictures in there you can see from group projects. Of course, we want to celebrate a variety of thinking and problem-solving strategies. So here you can see a variety of science projects that we had, again, that we try to think backwards in the sense that we want to have that goal in mind first, the end goal in mind. So we have, we told the students, here's what it should look like. We told them how to use all the tools, and it was their idea or their task to be able to work together, to put everything together to get a functioning product. Again, we really want to focus, even at our early ages of K-2, of giving students choice and giving them a variety of tools to work through. We never just want to have one script, one way. We really want to have those brains always encouraged to be constantly thinking and challenging us as well. And finally, like Dr. Marco was saying, we want to always start with not just our voices, but our staff voices. And we wanted to make sure we provided our staff multiple opportunities to speak, to share what they think is best, to give their feedback on ideas and what we have upcoming. And that included both our certified and our instructional assistants as well. So we wanted to have that whole building involvement to make sure that what direction we're going in, we're all going together and every voice has been heard.
And then finally, a huge common theme was just celebrating all differences. And so Mr. Fleming talked a little bit more about some of the responsive classroom work that we do, some of our social emotional learning and skills that we teach as well. And part of that is us all bringing this together. It connects to our equity work as a district as well. But a common theme from everybody is the importance of celebrating differences. And when we're able to do that, we're building a classroom community where creativity is fostered, where learning has happened. And so we just wanted to highlight that. And so just as we said, these were a couple of highlights that we wanted to talk about, but there's so many more examples. And so we always welcome anyone to come through and visit our classrooms and see. But something that we have to address and talk about because it's so important is our Spartan pride. And so we're trying out a tagline where Mr. Fleming came up with it, where it says where pride begins. We have lots of conversations about Spartan pride. You know how important that is for our district. And we feel we have a really important job when they're first entering Enfield to talk about what this is and what this means. And so we've had wonderful conversations and talks about what is Spartan pride, and our classroom teachers and other staff members are having these conversations as well. And so we just want to highlight a couple things that when we think about Enfield and our Spartan pride, that just connects to all the work that we're doing, and it connects to authentic learning as well. It's a smaller picture, but as you can see from one of our visiting artists that came through, we created this huge stuffy, and each student created and decorated their own little fabric tile, and then it was sewn together and created. And so that wonderful stuffy is on display right on our learning stairs. And if you ask any of the students, it's one of the most beloved things at Enfield. And so it's just another, and just when we think about pride, our big stuffy is one that we think about. So I wanted to highlight that. As you know, we love when the Spartan comes to visit us. That is a high school student, I believe, that dresses up and comes, and the kids just absolutely love it. So we're always excited for that. A couple other things, one of the wonderful things that happened when we had these conversations with the teachers is they shared ideas and the ideas then passed along. And so one teacher shared, she created a spot in her classroom where she called it her Spartan Pride wall. And so she gives students the opportunity to choose what they want to put on that wall. So, you know, sometimes we display every single thing of the same work, but we're giving this, we're connecting back to the authentic learning of giving some students a choice, or where are they feeling that the most proud of, and then they get to display it on their little spot. And so you see, there's a couple pictures there, and then there's more Spartan Pride wall, and it's nice that it just continued to grow. I want to highlight another thing. A kindergarten teacher had her students write, "What does Spartan Pride mean to me?" And that's just displayed right outside their classroom. And so when anybody walks by, you see that. And then finally, a couple other things. Our 100th day is just such a big thing at Enfield and Arcata too. It was a wonderful celebration. The kids had so much fun. The students had so much fun. It was just so exciting. And you just, when you talk about that love and fostering that love of learning, come to the 100th day of school, because you really feel it there. So I wanted to highlight that. And then another really important program that we did, Dr. Van Voren did this, and Mr. Fleming and I were happy to continue this, is our Enfield Star students. And so each week, one student from each classroom is chosen to be the star student, and they're tasked that week to set a good example and be a great leader. And so we're asking them, Mr. Fleming and I meet with them each Monday morning with two grades, and then Wednesday morning with the other grade. And we ask them, how can you show your Spartan pride? How can you show our school expectations of being safe, respectful, and responsible? And in addition, their pictures are on their walls. We put their TV, their pictures on the TV. We make them famous. Mr. Fleming makes them famous. They get certificates. And we have some actually local organizations that give them some certificates. So it's just a nice opportunity. And it's a nice opportunity for Mr. Fleming and I to talk with every single student. I think this is our last week. So this is our last week. We've hit every single student. So that's exciting. And then I just wanted to highlight our beautiful mural. We sent some information about this, but I want to thank our local artist, and Dr. Yannicko put it in her newsletter as well. It is just such a wonderful and beautiful mural that's in our library. And so I invite you, next time you come, make sure you stop in that library. It's just a very calming place, and the kids love it. And I think when I look at that, I think of how proud I am. So thank you so much for allowing Mr. Fleming and I to share some of the work we're doing at Enfield. Thank you.
I'd like to take a minute just to thank Mr. Fleming and Dr. Markle. As you heard, one of the things that we've been working on as an administrative team is alignment and consistency across and developmental growth across the 4 buildings. And so they've really worked hard, not only in picking, we talked about what is the pride tagline for Enfield to be able to build through. And so we're really happy with where pride begins, but also the fact that even at the earliest stages of learning, that we're trying to teach our students that their voice matters, that they can take ownership over their own learning, that they have choice and agency in their classroom, and that their teachers are really, they've not only adopted, but they're really taking off with those ideas, so that by the time students get to Dr. McLaurin and Erdenheim, they really have a high degree of confidence in their ability to be successful in their own learning process. So thank you very much to both of them. And I know, they're happy to answer any questions you might have about the slides or anything happening at Enfield at this time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions from the board?
I just want to say that I love the idea that they get to pick what they hang. I think that's great.
Yeah, very clear that Enfield is a special place for our youngest students and learners. And that's because of the passion you guys are putting into it and your staff. So thank you very much on behalf of the board. Really appreciate it. All right. Dr. Yannicko, does that conclude your update?
It does. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have public comment on agenda items. So I'll turn this over to Mr. Needleman.
Thank you, Dr. Bedard. Thank you, Mr. Bedard.
How's that for promotion? Huh?
That's nice.
Not bad.
And that's cool in like 3 seconds, huh? I don't see anyone signed up in person to speak on an agenda item, but if that's wrong, please raise your hand. I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone online who is raising a hand to speak on an agenda item. But perhaps we want to give it another 30 seconds or so. I don't see anyone, so looks like that's it for agenda items.
All right, very good. We'll move to our next set of items, which is approval of minutes from past meetings. Our first recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the board minutes from March 7th, 2023 interim board meeting. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion will pass. Our second is approval of minutes from the March 21st, 2023 recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the board minutes from March 21st, 2023, our regular board meeting. Is there a motion? In a second. Thank you. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That will pass. Our next section is approval of the treasurer's report. Recommended action, the Board of School Directors approves the March 31st, 2021 treasurer's report for the attachment. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor of passing the treasurer's report say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We will accept the treasurer's report. Moving to human resources, exciting topic, our personnel and HR contracts. Recommended action, the Board of School Directors approves the following personnel as presented in the attachment. Administrative personnel, certified personnel, support personnel, temporary personnel, 2023 extended school year personnel, extra pay for extra responsibilities, 2022-2023, extra pay for extra responsibilities for 2023 and 2024, and conference workshop attendance. Is there a motion? And a second? Any comments or questions on the personnel file? I'll just add one comment, just an endorsement of our new administrators and in particular, Ms. Green, for you, the work that you've done to support the board and the administration has been nothing short of impressive. And I've really enjoyed working with you and look forward to 3 more excellent years of your service to the district. Very much. Thank you. All right, all those in favor of our personnel file, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations. All right, our next is the high school independent contractor for music accompanist. That is a very difficult word to pronounce. Our recommended action, to give me another shot. Board of School Directors approves the independent contractor agreement with Neil Weber to be a musical accompanist. Nope. For the accompanist for the high school Voices of Excellence showcase and other events as needed for this spring 2023. Is there a motion? And a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That will pass. Moving to academic affairs. Our first item is for Camp Hill School extended school year contract. Our recommended action, the Board of School Directors approves the 2023 extended school year contract with the Camp Hill School for student number 20230-418-01 for the 2023 extended school year program for a total cost of $5,666.80. Is there a motion? And a second. Thank you. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That will pass. Our next item is Passports Group Travel and Tour Adventures in Costa Rica. This one sounds very fun. Our recommended action is the Board of School Directors approves the Passports Educational Group Travel Tour Adventures in Costa Rica from June 18th, 2024 to June 25th, 2024. This approval allows for the advertising, sharing of information, and registration of interested students to begin following the approval as per board policy. Is there a motion? And a second? Second. Any comments or questions?
I have a question. Is this associated with a particular group at the high school or affiliated with a particular course?
It's the. Dr. Johnson, would you like to answer? Sorry, this is the Spanish group.
Okay, okay.
It is open to any student who would like to go. We're expecting students who are
In the Spanish program. Okay. Thank you.
We've spoken before too. I'll just reiterate, if students need assistance, the tour company will work to try to provide that assistance. But all costs are outside of the district. They're all personal family costs.
Other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. 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 Any opposed? That will pass. Our next item. The Montgomery County Intermediary Unit Agreement for Shared Student Services. The Board of School Directors approves the 2023-2024 intergovernmental agreement for shared student special education and related services with the MCIU. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor of our contract with the MCIU say aye. 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 Opposed? Hearing none, that will pass. Moving to finance. First item is an engagement letter for our auditor. The recommended action, the Board of School Directors approves the engagement letter for Bars, Gowie, Alman, and Frotz LLC to conduct auditing services for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023 in the amount of $17,750. Is there a motion? And a second? Thank you. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The engagement will pass. Next, an engagement letter for Fox Rothschild as our solicitor. Recommended action. The Board of School Directors approves the appointment of Fox Rothschild LLP as solicitor for the school district of Springfield Township for the time period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, based upon the following: a retainer of $22,500 per year, a base hourly rate of $195, alternate rates in accordance with the attached engagement letter, and rates as established by the insurance carrier where Fox Rothschild LLC is an approved provider. Is there a motion? And a second. Any comments or questions? I sense Dr. Teretuski has a question.
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to check to be sure that these dates are correct. It's 22, 23. This is the current. Is this for the current year or is this for next year? Okay. All right.
Okay, let's make sure that
That the action on the board.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll update the action on the board. And just for clarity, then it will be updated for the dates July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? We'll move forward with Fox Rothschild. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. Next, more with Fox Rothschild, a HIPAA Business Associate Agreement. The Board of School Directors approves the HIPAA Business Associate Agreement between the School District of Springfield Township and Fox Rothschild LLP as a result of Fox Rothschild LLP handling cases that involve protected health information on behalf of the district. Is there a motion? And a second? Any comments or questions? Very good. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That will pass. Next item is Axis Insurance. Recommended action is the Board of School Directors approves the 2023-2024 renewal of the sports and student accident insurance policies from Axis Insurance Company through All Risks LTS as follows. 1, accident and health coverage at an annual cost of $6,335. And 2, catastrophic accident coverage at an annual rate of $525. Is there a motion? In a second. Thank you. Any comments or questions on the extension of our insurance? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That will pass. And moving on to our policy agenda items. Again, exciting to close out an 18-month policy review. The first set will be our 800 level policy second reading, the recommended action. The Board of School Directors approves the second reading of the 800 level policies reviewed by PSBA and the solicitor, including 800 records management, 810.1 school bus drivers and school commercial motor vehicle drivers, 810.3 school vehicle drivers and equipment operators, and 827 conflict of interest. Is there a motion? And a second? Any comments or questions on our 800 level policy second reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That will pass. Our second item, 900 level policies. The recommended action is the Board of School Directors approves the second reading of the following 900 level new policies as recommended. 910, community engagement, 917, parental family involvement, and 918, Title I, parent and family engagement. Is there a motion? And a second? Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The new policies will pass. Third, 900 level revised policies, and this is a lengthy list, so I will reference the attachment. The recommended action is the Board of School Directors approves the second reading of the following revised 900 level policies to be approved as recommended. They range from 901, public relations objectives, through 916, volunteers, per the attachment. Is there a motion? Lots of motions, and is there a second? I heard multiple seconds as well. This is great. A lot of excitement. Yeah. Any comments or questions to build the tension and suspense? Okay, all those in favor of passing our last tranche of policies to be revised and approved, say aye. 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 Any opposed? All right, congratulations, Policy Committee and Administration. Great work, guys. All right, moving to property. We have just two motions under property. The first for roofing. Recommended action here. The Board of School Directors approves Procom Roofing Corporation as the lowest responsible bidder for the high school partial roof replacement project for a total cost of $1,752,600, of which the base bid was $1,721, and alternate number 2 was $31,600. Is there a motion? And a second. Any comments or questions on our roofing bid? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That will pass. Next item is for SL Technology. The recommended action. The Board of School Directors approves the contract with SL Technology LLC for the installation of cameras and lighting at the middle school parking lot for a total cost of $39,893 under CoStar's contract 040E22-127. Is there a motion? And a second. Any comments or questions? All right, all those in favor of the SL Technology agreement, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion will pass. Next. Regarding the board, we are publishing the 2023-2024 board meeting dates. Recommended action. The Board of School Directors approves the attached board meeting dates for the 2023-2024 school year per the attachment. Is there a motion? And a second. Any comments or questions? Very good. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion will also pass. We'll next move on to public comment on non-agenda items, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Needleman.
Thank you, Dr. Bedard. We'll open it up to comments on non-agenda items. I don't see anyone signed up in person. It looks to be the case. I also don't see anyone signed up online. While we give it another 30 seconds, I do just want to reiterate our rules for comments on agenda or non-agenda items, a 3-minute time limit, and we do ask that you identify where you live in the district so that we can have that on the record. I do see, a hand raised by Keisha Bronson. Ms. Bronson?
Hi, I just had a question. I actually submitted it, but it probably didn't come in on time. I just wanted to know if Dr. Johnson could repeat her answer. It was hard to hear in regards to eligibility for the Costa Rica trip. I think there was a question around who was eligible to go on that trip, and there was an answer we just couldn't hear through the phone system.
Thanks, Mrs. Bronson. Anyone is eligible to go on the trip. The students who are in the Spanish language program have requested that we include a Spanish area, like a Spanish speaking area for the trip, but anyone can go. This is the approval tonight allows students to start to register and for them to publicize it, and there'll be an information session.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Bronson. If anyone else has a comment, please raise your hand. Don't see anyone, so I think we can close out the session.
Thank you. Dr. Needleman, Esquire. All right, I think, wow, great job, guys, getting through the business of this meeting. We'll talk about the business of future meetings here. We do have some future board meeting dates. First is our next interim board meeting is Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. Will continue to be a hybrid. And our next regular, potentially extraordinary board meeting is Monday, May 15th, 2025. That is also a hybrid board meeting. No pressure. All meetings, of course, will be held here in the middle school audion located next to the middle school cafeteria. Future committee meeting dates. We've got a lot. The Finance Committee will meet this Thursday, April 20th, 2023, bright and early, an 8 a.m. virtual meeting. Academic Affairs Committee will meet Monday, May 8th, 2023 at 5 p.m. virtual. Property Committee is set for Thursday, May 11th, 2023, 8 a.m. virtual. There's another Property Committee meeting As a follow-up on Thursday, June 1st, 2023 at 8 a.m., also virtual. And the policy committee meeting will be meeting for a celebration. There's always business for the policy committee. They'll be meeting on Monday, June 12th, 2023 at 8:30 a.m. This is also a virtual meeting. All details for how to register for these meetings are available on the district website, and all members of the public are encouraged to attend. With that, we will adjourn for this evening. I just wanted to make sure if there are any comments or questions from the board members. We leave just a minute for that. Great. Everyone has spring fever, ready to get outside. And Dr. Yannicone, anything to close the meeting?
Well, I'll just, now that you've approved Fox Rothschild, I just want to publicly thank Mr. Sultanic for all of his guidance this year. He's an excellent supporter of our work and somebody who I feel like I can get an answer from at any hour of the day or night, 7 days a week. So the responsiveness of the firm is. Thank you very much. So we feel very fortunate. So thank you all for approving another year with Mr. Sultanic and Fox. And other than that, just a quick reminder for everybody that the 15th is a Monday. There's an election day. And it's International Water Safety Day. It sounds like a wonderful day all around. Thank you. It'll be your birthday. How wonderful.
This is going to be a really
Cake at
big
the
day.
end of the meeting. There you have
It's
it.
a big day.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and we'll adjourn tonight. Have a great couple of weeks. We'll see you soon.